What's going on, everybody on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram? Steve here, Rake and Profit over at rakeandprofit.com. Coming back to you with another video, and we are joined by my good friends Dan Metters and Eric Lambert of the Wholesale Formula. And today we're going to be talking about how to wholesale on Amazon step by step in 2019. So hopefully you've been enjoying the videos that we've been recording over the last week or so. You guys are in for a really awesome treat in this video, and I just want to introduce these guys. Maybe you can kind of share with my audience who you are, your story, because you have a pretty amazing story when it comes to wholesale and just how far you've kind of come along on your journey over the years. So maybe we'll start with Dan. Do you mind kind of sharing the journey and like your guys' progression?
Absolutely. So yeah, we got started on Amazon in 2011. We started, I think, with the same way a lot of your audience gets started, with retail arbitrage, and that was, it was fantastic. It was one of those things we loved doing. Like, we loved getting out in stores. It was like a treasure hunt, right? Just literally, I was like kids in a candy store all the time, just going out there and finding treasure. And we didn't start with a lot of money. I mean, we started with $600, and it was one of those things we literally had to build as we go. And I think a lot of people don't understand that how hard it is. Whenever you're first starting out with very little money, you have to put in a ton of work, and that's me and Eric did that. Like, we drove around the country, we found awesome products to sell on Amazon, and was able to scale over the first couple of years to over $1 million in sales. But it was one of those things like where we were really. We were constantly on the road. I mean, now I can literally say you've been to Corbin, Kentucky. You can see that it's not a hub of commerce. There's not a lot of businesses here to be buying products.
Not a lot of advantages set up for us here, right?
Exactly.
It's different than Connecticut, I can tell you that much.
Exactly. So, I mean, it wasn't like we could just drive locally and shop and stuff like that. So we were fairly disadvantaged. We were constantly out on the road, physically picking product up. And while it was really fun, I mean, it was so taxing on our families and on our personal lives. Like, I mean, literally on the road 5 days a week, almost every week out of the year, just out there finding products. But it did work out. I mean, that's the thing. You stay with a business and you keep working through those types of adversities. It will work out eventually. And we reached a point where we were able to convert our business to wholesale, and that's where that's where we saw the most growth. Honestly, is whenever we were able to convert our business to wholesale and start having products come to us rather than going and looking for the products.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, and the only thing I'll add there is like the old adage is that, it takes money to make money. And that's not necessarily true. It takes time or money to make money. And early on, we had plenty of time, not a lot of money. And then we parlayed that time, leveraged it into now we got capitalized properly, and we were able to invest in and move to wholesale, come off the road. All of our orders are shipped to a prep center and then on in. So like, we're not on the road anymore. We have this great space here that we're very happy to work in and very proud of. But yeah, so it was a lot of work at first, but we always knew there was a bigger goal, a bigger end, something else, So, and then here we are.
That's crazy. So like, literally, these guys went from what, $600 you invested into wholesale when you started, and they were where you guys were. They were selling on Amazon and doing thrifting and RA and stuff. So you took that $600, and right now in 2019, you've done how much in sales so far? Like over 20 million.
I think we just broke across the 20 million platform within the last 30 days.
That's amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's so many people who right now they're watching and they're like, wow, like maybe they're working like 9 to 5s and they're just getting started like selling on eBay, or they're learning about books, but they're looking for like a business model that's a little more scalable, something that allows them to be able to travel and to be able to just make more money. Because one of the things about like selling on eBay and Amazon is it's great, it's fun, but you're constantly having to go out there and like get the bone and bring it back, get the bone, bring it back. You're going to thrift stores, you're gonna have to come back and list. And with wholesale and things like private label and different business models, even like Shopify stores and stuff, like it's more scalable. So there's people who are looking for those business models. So today, essentially what we're gonna talk about is the wholesale model, but from like a 30,000 foot overview. We're really gonna cover like, what does it take step by step to start a wholesale business? What are all the different pillars and whatnot? So if you guys are ready to rock and roll, let's go ahead and just start talking about the different things.
Let's do it. Let's get them what they came for.
Absolutely. And I do want to mention one thing as well, is on February 11th, these guys are actually hosting a free 5-day workshop. So we're going to do everything we can right now to give you guys a ton of value And I'm telling you right now, make sure you have a pen and pad, you're writing notes down. But if you guys like this content, if you like wholesale, if you want to learn more, definitely check the first link down below. I believe the link is rakeandprofit.com/free workshop. So if you sign up for that, you'll get access to that workshop, and it's only going to be available for a limited amount of time. So definitely check that out. But let's just dive into it. We got about 10 or 11 different notes on our handy dandy little note sheet right here. So the first thing that you're going to want to do, obviously, when you start wholesale is sign up for an Amazon Seller Central account. So maybe Eric, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. First of all, it's free to do. It's very, if you have a Amazon buying account, which just requires an email. I mean, I'd say by and large, most of the people watching this do have that. There's just the button you click to sign up for a seller account. They'll need a little information, whether it's a social security number or a federal
banking and
right.
all that stuff.
Yeah. But you're talking about a 10-minute process. Assuming you have everything together, it's free. They do have 2 tiers, and I say it's free because I feel like there's a business professional one, and then like an individual one or something like that.
And then they charge you like an extra $1
Yeah, it's $1 per
month.
item. So it's $40 are free. Anyway, we do recommend the professional, but you're talking about 10 minutes and you're up and running, and and you could say, if you had a product to sell, you could sell it, list it on Amazon that very day.
And there's so many videos now too, there's all you got to type is like how to sign up for like an Amazon seller account, and they'll walk you through step by step exactly how to do it. But yeah, put in your banking. You might need a credit card. The next thing, it's actually a good segue, is legality, because if you do obviously have like a business or something, you might have to put in like your EIN number or your social. Legality wise, let's touch on that a little bit, because this is something that holds a lot of people back when they're starting up a business. Obviously we're not lawyers, we're not accountants or CPAs, so obviously we're giving you like just our own experience right now. But do you find that people, when they're starting a wholesale business, should they go ahead, or maybe in your example, did you incorporate and set up an LLC, or is it okay, do you feel like, for people when they're new to just kind of go based on their own name or whatnot?
Well, that's one thing that is unique about wholesale, is you do actually have to have a business. Like, to be able to sign up for accounts and be able to work directly with wholesalers, they require you to have a business.
Oh, really?
Because they're not allowed to sell to end consumers without charging tax.
Yeah.
So it's more of a tax liability thing on their end, but they do require you to have a business. But the good news is that literally takes like 30 minutes to an hour to go ahead and sign up for all the stuff you need. Like, realistically, you just need an LLC and whatever your state is. And once you have that, I mean, it's about, you just go set up your banking and all that
You
stuff.
apply for the EIN number. I actually just did it recently. I'm from Connecticut. I went to literally the Connecticut Secretary of the State. You just search to make sure your LLC is available, whatever name, and then you pay the fine.
It is almost like a fine.
You pay the fee. You get organized. You get your EIN number. You set up your banking. I mean, it's one of those things that it's like, it's kind of a pain in the butt the first time to set it up, but it's like not that hard. If you have a CPA or a lawyer, just like talk to them and they'll definitely help you get set up. But I think it's important.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And it's, that's one of the things. If you're out here and you're getting ready to start a business, it's something you're going to be really serious about, right? Like, that's the thing, is if you're going to dive in, you want to be serious about it. And I think you want a business and you want to do things the right way. So I'm with you. That's what we always generally tell people, is go see a CPA or an attorney, and they can get you signed up really quick if you're not comfortable doing it yourself. But it really is an easy process. It's not, it seems a lot scarier than it is, but it's how long did it take you? 30 minutes or an hour probably?
Not even that long.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But it's like the first time you do something, it's always new and scary. And
we just feel like you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, exactly. So cool. So once you get signed up for your Amazon Seller Central account, obviously you put in all your banking, all that fun stuff. Step 2 is you're going to want to look into possibly getting incorporated to become a business, because these wholesale suppliers, brands, they're gonna want you to have that tax ID number, correct? Right. In order to be able to do it. So the third step in this overarching kind of step-by-step tutorial of how to get started with wholesale is going to be product research and like kind of looking into the competition and stuff. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about that, Eric. Someone's just getting started. They set up their LLC. They're like, I'm going to do this wholesale business model. Where do you get started with like product research and like looking at competition? Because there's 1,000,001 products that you can sell essentially? Like, where do you start? How do you start like researching products?
Well, more importantly, there's a million different ways to acquire that product, and that's what differentiates us. I mean, traditional for wholesale is to go to trade shows. I'm sure a lot of your audience have heard of those type of.
A lot of my audience goes to like ASD and Las Vegas and whatnot.
And like your audience, we did as well, but it just didn't work out for us. It's a thing that doesn't resonate with our personalities. We're not very outgoing, extroverted type people. We did okay when we had a plan and went, but overall it was just marginally successful at best, if not just unsuccessful. So for us, it all starts, without getting too in depth with it, but like just one day we were sitting around and Dan was just like, I'd really like to be able to sell this product. It looks like it's performing really good. If I could get it at a decent cost, it's selling really well, all these things. And we're looking at Amazon and it's just like, well, why don't we just contact this company and see what it costs? And it seems so outer space at the time, but it makes sense, right? It's just the simplest step to do it, and that's literally how it happened. It was like, and then we never went back to another trade show. All of our sourcing and analysis happens on the Amazon platform because that's where we're wanting to start.
Are you using a software to like analyze, like Jungle Scout?
Yeah, we use the Jungle Scout Estimator. It's actually a free tool. It's junglescout.com/estimator. And what that does is it lets you look at a product's sales rank and determine approximately how many times that product is selling per month. And that's really what we care about in terms of competition, is we don't care necessarily how many people are selling a product. We care how many sales each seller is getting. So we care about what our percentage of those sales might be. So whenever we're looking at a product, and this is what I would implore you guys to do, is look for products on Amazon that are performing well that Amazon doesn't sell. Don't look.
So you don't want Amazon selling at all,
right? Why not? They're too tough. I mean, honestly, they're a tough competitor. Well, that, and they don't share the buy box like everybody else, so it just makes it very unpredictable.
They're the schoolyard bully.
Yeah, they're the bully, right? Exactly.
But I mean, they own the schoolyard, so they can be the bully. So I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah.
So we're looking for products that Amazon doesn't carry that sell have a decent sales volume. We like the sales volume to be above 60 sales per month. And then one of the things we're going to do is we're going to look and see how many times it's selling, how many competitors there are, and try to guess how many times we're going to sell that product.
So can you tell, you can obviously, because I've used the Jungle Scout Estimator before, which is a great free tool, so check it out. I know you could see the overall sales volume. Can you tell, like if there's 15 sellers on the listing, can you tell who's getting how many sales on the listing? Is that what you said before, or did I?
Essentially, it's not as...
You can make a good educated estimate.
Make a very, exactly. You can make a very educated guess about how many sales people are getting, and it's typically based around, if they're a prime seller and if they are within a small percentage of the lowest price. So that's, once you have that information, you can divide by the number of sellers that there are and assume how many sales you would get if you were one of those sellers.
Interesting. Okay, is there any other criteria that you guys are looking for when you're, you're obviously looking at the volume of sales, you're looking at, is Amazon selling it, and you don't want them to? Is there anything else that you're looking for if somebody's going to go on? Because I know people are going to be like, holy crap, I'm going to go do this right now. I'm jumping on. They're going to get Jungle Scout. They're going to start looking. Are you looking for like maybe listings that are inefficient or aren't optimized?
Exactly. I mean, that's one of the things is, some of the brands that we try to connect with tend to be smaller brands. Now, what that leads to is a lot of those brands have user-created listings that just don't perform all that well. So whenever we see something like that, the product's already selling and doing well anyway. Imagine if you were able to give it a small little facelift, how much better it could sell. So that's definitely an opportunity that we're looking for too.
Okay. Eric, do you mess with products that, like, say there's a product that's selling really, really well? And I remember back when I used to be really active going to like Walmarts and Targets, I would find some products during like Christmas season that would have like a 300 rank in toys, but it would have like a 1.5 star rating, and it was like an electronic item. And I was thinking to myself, if I buy this thing's going to get returned. I already know it. Do you guys mess with items that are super fast sellers, but the reviews are super bad, like under 2 stars?
I wouldn't. I mean, that's something that it just sets yourself up for long-term failure. Unless there's I would contact the manufacturer to see if maybe there was a defect issue, like maybe they had a run that was bad.
Okay.
But assuming it's not actually the product. There was
Yeah.
not then. I mean, it's different. At least in you're doing it RA, you only have to sell the 1, 2, or 3, or 5 that you can find in Walmart. But
Yeah.
we're trying to build a business here, so we want to replenish it month over month. So if customers are continually having a poor experience and the
Yeah.
manufacturer is not willing to change it or whatever the problem causing the negative reviews, then it's not anything that I think that would lend itself to long-term success.
So when you're selling wholesale, are you guys liable for the returns as well? Like if there's refunds, it's the same thing as like retail arbitrage because you guys are doing Amazon FBA, right? So you're sending everything in. If there's a refund, you're still getting hit. You can't go back to the supplier, or can you?
You can in some instances.
Some have allowances.
Right, like it's one of the things that you can work out on a supplier to supplier basis. Is creating damage allowances or return allowances, and that's just where there were defective products or something like that. So it is something you can definitely address with your supplier if you perceive it or think it might be a problem.
Okay, cool. So hopefully that helped you guys out so far, and I would definitely recommend checking out Jungle Scout, starting to play around. Do you typically go into like specific categories when you're starting to like look at products and whatnot, and you're doing like your analysis, or are you like saying to yourself, like, I'm really big into sports. I know you're huge into fitness, and you know you're big into keto. You've lost a ton of weight, looking amazing.
No.
Do you go into like categories that you're like maybe passionate about, and you start looking, or you start there, or?
That's exactly it. I mean,
Okay,
honestly,
cool.
People are always like, "What's the best performing categories?" Realistically, the ones you're going to see the best results in is something you care about, and it's just because you can have a better conversation with whoever you're talking to. And it's like, for example, I can sit here and talk to you about keto forever, because that's something I'm involved, something I'm involved in, something that means a lot to me. But, if you tried to talk to me about Barbie dolls, I don't know very much about Barbie dolls, and I wouldn't be able to have a great conversation.
That's Eric's category.
That's Eric.
That's when you want to come to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome, cool. So now that we've talked about, just kind of recapping really quick, you signed up for your Amazon seller account. You've done all that fun, exciting legality work, LLCs and EIN numbers and bank accounts. Oh my God, you guys hit the like button if you're enjoying this so far. We talked about product research and some of the things that you want to be looking for. Now let's just say that you find a product that you're interested in. Maybe Eric comes to you, he knocks on your office door and he's like, I got this product. It's this amazing Barbie doll. It's hot selling. It's trendy right now. I'm sorry, Eric.
No, it's perfect. That sounds
it's
exactly like me, actually.
but it's selling really well. What's the next step now for the viewers right now? Like, you find a hot selling product. Can you just go ahead and just contact any company? Like, would you want to? Who owns Barbie? Is it Hasbro or
Mattel.
is Barbie just the brand? I don't.
Yeah, I mean, in that instance, it'd be Mattel. But I mean, for with any product, what we would want to do is we want to look and see who makes that product, and then just reach out to them. Like it's super simple, Steve.
Like,
I know it sounds crazy.
my head's like, how do you reach out to Mattel? How do you reach out to these
Exactly.
brands? Like, who do you call? Like, you're not going to just go into I was going to say the Yellow Book, but that's like 1993.
Yeah, that's.
That was good.
But like, who do you call? Like, what's the whole process there?
No, it's super easy. It's like, let's use Mattel as an example. If I were wanting to contact Mattel, I would go to Mattel's website. You could just Google it. If you don't know what Mattel's website is, just Google Mattel. It'll take you to their website. And then we go down the page and we look for wholesale or contact us, and you send them a message. Hey, we'd like to set up a wholesale account. Could you please connect me with the right people? It can be that simple. It's really, it can be that simple. But a lot of the smaller manufacturers have it on their website. They just have wholesale. You click the button and you fill out whatever little form they have, and boom, you're off to the races.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, but these big manufacturers, or maybe even some of the smaller brands, and we'll talk a little bit more about like your guys' specific business model, because you guys aren't necessarily attacking like the huge brands, right? You're going after like more like the smaller brands. But you can just like these companies, like you could obviously contact them. They're not necessarily selling on Amazon. They're looking to sell to distributors, right? So like that's the name of the game. They want you to call. They want to sell more product, right? They're actually looking forward to you calling them. Is that?
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where like a lot of people don't understand this concept, right? They're like, why aren't they just selling it themselves? And it's, you've bought Clorox, presumably, but you didn't go to a Clorox store to do it. You went to a retailer to buy it. And that's the function that we perform on Amazon is we are their retailer. We help them navigate the platform. We help them optimize their listings to achieve more sales. Basically, we do that job better than they would, and that's why they want to.
Because they're in the business of obviously creating the brand, the product, optimizing the product, dealing with all the million things that you have to do as, a brand owner, because actually selling it in distribution, that's a whole other world.
Right. It's a completely different business.
Awesome. So are there any like real quick, because we have actually, we're shooting a whole bunch of videos and stuff, and they do have a free workshop. So if you haven't signed up for it, be sure to sign up for it. We're going to go into more detail. But are there any questions, maybe I'll throw this to Eric, that you should be prepared to answer, like when you contact them or you email them? Or there going to be some questions? Obviously, they're going to want your tax ID number.
Sure.
Is there anything else? Or are they looking for credibility or?
Well, I mean, the thing is like, well, I would say I don't know like how to answer that because each manufacturer is a little different. But what I would say, the thing that we have found out that is to be honest and be upfront with, if they do ask,
Like your
if
intent
you
when you sell on
right.
Amazon.
You don't have to necessarily disclose it. I'm not saying that, but I certainly wouldn't skate around it. We've done that enough times over the years to realize that the problem is like, that's when we were making money and not building a business. It's fine to make money that way, but you got to know that your time's going to come up sooner or later. They're going to find out that you're selling on Amazon and you never told them that, and they'll probably shut you off of it, quit selling to you, and things like that. So the advice that I would tell you that you should, is be very forthright with that, because it's about building a long-term business, and that is a relationship base, and you don't get there by being withholding or just outright deceitful. So.
Okay, cool. So ordering products now. Let's start talking about that. We're getting there. I'm telling you.
That's the fun part.
Right? We're getting there. So now
Getting close to the fun part.
you've locked down a hot selling. I keep going back to the Barbie, but it's kind of a bad example. Maybe we should start with this. You guys are going more after like the smaller brands, right? Brands that are selling products that maybe their listings aren't optimized. They're not like, because we've talked before in several videos about this. You guys are more or less going after products that most people don't know.
Right.
Is that like kind of like one of your secrets, I guess, to success, is like you're looking for wholesale products that people don't know, that are like under the radar, that aren't getting like 1 million sales per month, that don't have like so much competition? Am I kind of going down the right road?
Kind of, exactly.
Because everyone thinks you got to go to like get all the top main brands that everybody knows.
For Mattel, for instance.
Yes.
Right. Like, one of the reasons that we do target small to mid-sized brands is that they're typically, first off, you can access more people in the company. For example, if I want to talk to a sales manager at Mattel,
Good luck, right?
Good luck.
Yeah.
I'm generally going to get a sales rep or something like that. Now, with a smaller company, I'm able to talk more to people who are higher up in the company, for one, and they're generally more connected to their products. Like, these people actually, if you talk to somebody at Mattel, they may work on different projects within Mattel, but whenever you start talking to people with a 20-person company or a 30-person company or something like that, each one of these people have hands on their product daily. Like, they are constantly working in the weeds in their products. So these are people that we can connect with, and we can make a real bond whenever we start talking to them about how we can help their brand grow on Amazon. So that's why we target the way we do, is we want to connect more with smaller brands that we feel like we can make a real impact with.
Yeah, I mean, the reason the success isn't because we're targeting small brands. It just so happens that smaller brands have a good alignment with us. It makes it to where the relationship can be beneficial. We can affect and change and impact the direction of their brand, and then of course that brand can help change and impact the direction of our business. So it lines up versus, I'm not going to make very much headway or very much impact from Mattel.
You don't think you're going to change
even with
Mattel's
even with
sales
all
numbers?
my expansive resources that I have at my disposal, I just still don't think that I can affect Mattel very much.
So now that you're going to order your product, and we're kind of getting there, what's the process for actually ordering a product? Is it like super complicated? Do you have to order like 10,000 units at once? Because
no.
a lot of people watching are probably thinking like, I'm
Scared
gonna
to
need
death right here.
$200,000 to lock down all these products. What's the deal when it comes to ordering? Like, do you need a certain amount of money typically? Is there a certain limit of items that they're usually looking for you to purchase?
I mean, it's actually one of the biggest misconceptions that we had when we first started, is we assumed that you had to have gigantic orders, and it probably, not researching this, probably kept us from doing wholesale for at least an additional 6 months, because we didn't feel like we had the capital to do
We
it.
accepted that assumption to be true.
Right, and it's just not true. I mean, that's the thing. The vast majority of manufacturers that we deal with require a $250 to $500 minimum order, and our suggestion for getting started is that people have about $2,000 to $3,000. And the reason that is just so you can place multiple orders and start to learn your products better. Like, that's how people really learn, is through experience. But whenever you're working with these small brands, I mean, it's, you're talking about relatively small orders. As far as what you need to actually be able to do it, it's for most companies, it's a super easy process. Like, I'm pretty sure at this point, at least 90% of our companies we order directly through email. We just send them an email with, these are the SKUs we would like. This is how many units we would like of the given SKUs. And then that's the whole process right there. They charge our credit card and send us product, or send product to our prep center or directly to Amazon. That's another thing is, a lot of brands that we work with also ship to Amazon at this point for us.
Yeah, a lot of people think that you need like a huge warehouse, or you're gonna have to like rent out a shed or something, or get like a storage unit to be able to do it. But yeah, prep centers have started popping up, over the last 4 or 5 years now?
Oh yeah, it's kind of funny because me and Eric used to have a warehouse, and it was prep centers didn't exist, and then like literally within 6 months of us having a warehouse, we started hearing about the creation of prep centers and things like that. And just over the past year, I mean, it's one of those things. Like I get it. I get how intimidating that is and how tedious it is because we did it. Like we did have a warehouse. I know how much work it is. And that was one of our major goals is switching out of a warehouse now, for about the past.
It was in July. But July when we officially closed the warehouse, but we started moving to a prep center about January or February of last year.
Right. So we've been out of a warehouse at this point for almost a full year.
And that's a game changer because when you had the warehouse, it's similar to like just doing traditional retail arbitrage or just thrifting or selling on eBay. Like you're stuck there, you're having to do everything on your own, but now you could actually take off, travel because you're utilizing a prep center. And if you don't know what a prep center is, essentially all it is like, just imagine you had a warehouse and all your workers were, obviously polybagging things, cleaning things, listing things, shipping them all off. These prep centers actually do it all for you. Now, I'm sure there's a learning curve.
It's a third-party warehouse.
Right. Yeah, it's a third-party warehouse. There's a learning curve. There's probably a process, right? There's certain information you have to give them and stuff, I'm sure, in like spreadsheets or whatnot to be able to do it. Right? Because I've always wondered, like, how do they know, like, how to price your items and stuff? Like, how do they know how to do everything?
Well, we actually just manage the pricing. All they do is process they receive our shipment, they check everything in, make sure everything was there, make sure there's no damages. If there are damages, they let us know so we can contact the manufacturer and work it out. But if everything's good, they go ahead and they process the products per Amazon standards. And that's another thing is, if you're starting out, it may not be something but a prep center can definitely help you with that.
So they ship it to the actual Amazon warehouses for you?
Yep.
So how do they know, like, for example, like, is there a certain standard they have to put all these items in one box and then they weigh it and then you give them a file with your prices? I know we're getting a little advanced right now, but I'm just curious, like, how it works.
Whenever we send them products, we create the listing on our account and price everything. So what they do is they go ahead, they process the products, and then they create the shipping plan and send it to Amazon. So all they handle is the shipping side. Once it arrives at Amazon,
they just check to make sure they receive 40 of unit A, 40 of unit A, 40 of unit C. If so, then ship that.
That's easier than I thought.
Yeah, no,
Oh yeah, everything
you don't have to pricing. You don't have to worry about. They just verify and then get it up to, like you said, you were mentioning polybagging. For anybody that doesn't know, polybagging, bubble wrap boxes. Some of these things, depending if it's liquid, breakable, a lot of different things go into play with prepping before you get to an Amazon warehouse, and they know all those standards for you, so they get it up and out moving to Amazon properly.
Wow, so that's cool. So once you find like a hot selling product and you work out the deal, and that's like the upfront work, right? You're putting in the product research, you're creating the relationship with the vendor or the supplier or the brand, whatever you want to call it, and then you put in your order. Your like heavy lifting is kind of done, it seems like, because if you utilize a third-party prep center, they're shipping it. You're not having to create your own listing because you're not private labeling. And if you guys do like retail arbitrage, selling books or anything, the cool thing about Amazon compared to eBay is you don't have to do the photography. You don't have to create the title. You don't have to create the description because it's all there.
The listings are communal.
Yeah, you're listing underneath whoever created the listing already. So that's interesting. I'm trying to think, what am I missing here? So you get the product listed up and now it's for sale. You're not having to fulfill any of the products to ship them out because they're already at the FBA centers. Why don't you explain for anybody who doesn't understand what Amazon FBA is? Because I know we're kind of going really deep right now, but you find the products, create the wholesale deals, prep center takes care of it, ships it off to the Amazon FBA warehouses. What the heck's an Amazon FBA warehouse?
So everything is pretty much the same no matter where you're selling it, if it's eBay, Shopify, whatever, all the way up until that point. You acquire a product, right? And then you have the product. Now for us, we don't ever get it in our hands. For us, this step would be at our prep center. So our supplier would ship it to our prep center or ship it to you. Now you have it on hand. You see, and so under normal e-commerce with eBay or Shopify is now you get this order from your customer.
You fulfill it.
Right. You have it in your hand. You address it to them and you ship it to them. For in this system, it's all stored rather than on my hand. It's stored in my prep center's warehouse. And when the order comes in, it is. I shouldn't say prep center. FBA's the Amazon warehouse because it has to be on hand for them to list it.
Yeah.
And so now the customer orders it and it goes straight from Amazon's warehouse to the end user. I'm not shipping end user quantities to anybody. So that's a huge difference. The FBA wholesale model versus eBay's merchant fulfillment offer, which is you can sell on Amazon like that, but we don't advise it and we don't do it at all.
It just blows my mind like how far e-commerce has come just over the last like 7 or 8 years. With all the softwares and FBA centers and prep centers and automation. It's incredible. So now it's in the warehouse. Now it's the fun part. Can you guys guess what's going to start happening when you start shipping in all these hot selling products into the warehouses? What typically happens?
Well, first you get once you've done, you said it earlier, like you've done all the heavy lifting right there. Like that's one of the biggest differences in wholesale and your other models is that wholesale is very front end loaded. Like you got to do all the product research, you got to find the product, but once you get to that point, like once we're here, we start seeing the product sell, and then as the product continues to sell, we start getting lower or whatever. We just place a reorder, and placing a reorder is super easy with wholesale. That's the big difference for us, and that was the game changer. Is we weren't having to go find our products again. Instead, we send an email. And pay for.
Are they coming from China usually, like private label products?
99% of our products are domestic from the U.S.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that means you can easily replenish your inventory quick. So you're not having to I forget what the word is, but there's like a lead time and there's manufacturing. Sure. A lot of these products are just ready.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah. Our typical lead times are between 5 and 7 days.
Well,
so like we place an order, the product arrives at our prep center generally within 5 to 7 days, and then they process it over the next 24 to 48 hours, and it's on to Amazon, and we get to see sales again.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's
so
amazing.
Like that's pretty much the process right there. Like I really wanted to like get these guys on video and just kind of share the overall process because I feel like there's like a lot of like misconceptions and people feel that like wholesale is a certain way and there's all these like roadblocks and it's so challenging, but it's really not as complicated as a lot of us think. I think that there's just a lot of limiting beliefs.
Right, I think it's as complicated as people make it, right? Like whenever you boil it down to just these processes, this is literally all you have to do to have a successful wholesale business. Just the steps that we've talked about here. And that we oftentimes, you hit it on the head. It's like we think about all these things and we try to add in all this extra complicated steps because it can't be that easy, right? But that's the trick, is it really is that easy. It's just follow those steps and you can literally have a wholesale business.
Cool, awesome. So it was awesome having you guys on. I know we're shooting a whole bunch more videos and I said it before, but they are hosting a free 5-day workshop. It's starting on February 11th. So if you thought this content was good, I could promise you that we're gonna be going much more in depth and really sharing a lot of like the nuts and bolts to all this stuff because really there's only so much content we can share in like a 30-40 minute video. So be sure to sign up. If you go to rakeandprofit.com/free workshop or the link below, there might be something on the screen. Go check it out, sign up, it's 100% free. Bring a pen, bring a pad because you're definitely gonna wanna take some notes, but appreciate you guys being on and yeah, we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.